you can imagine how much sound just hovers over that. But because of that, it creates an experience that I think is going to be really unique in U.S. soccer.
Here we go. It's countdown to kickoff. Brad Stith from AC Boise. It said 10 days before kickoff. Brad, you're getting down. Two hands, you can count the number of days until you play a competitive soccer match. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's not too bad. You get to 10 more sleeps and it feels pretty good, right? So, no, things are great, and we're just excited to get the season kicked off.
Now that debut happens in Florida in Sarasota, so you're playing away. Then you got Union Omaha on March 22nd. You don't open up your building and welcome in the community of Boise until April 4th at the brand new stadium. And that's why we're here today, to kind of talk about the process of putting together a proper soccer venue. I know we have touched on it in your appearances here on the show, but you guys sent me, I don't know, 1 billion images of the stadium now, and it looks good. I'll say that, Brad. Tell me about what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more going on since we sent that even. So we've got another 800 club seats that are going actually on that northeast end that you saw. There was nothing next to the press box. So right there. So on that left-hand side of the press box, we've got a full club seat section going in. On the right-hand side, we have 1,000-person beer garden. So it's pretty epic. So the stadium, when we'll actually open up on April 4th, will be completely contiguous all the way around, right? So you've got those north end field suites that you can see on the left part of the screen. So they, the first row of those field suites are actually on the field board. So they're 12 feet off the goal line. So they're just an awesome field suite experience for everybody. And as you can see with the view in Boise, that's taken from the west side club seats in the main grandstand. Pretty awesome view of the foothills, pretty awesome view of what Boise is. So it's, with the newly refurbished grandstand that's completely covered, the new 1,400 club seats that we put in on the west side, you've got 240 VIP pitch side seats, our supporter sections, definitely one of the best in the USL. If you haven't seen it, it's literally 36-inch bays, proper rail system, 24-inch rise over run. So it's a great supporter wall. And the rest of the scoreboard is actually going in right now. So, we're 5.5 weeks out from actually opening up. But for April 4th, obviously, lots to do in that amount of time. But we'll be at 99% completion on March 15th. So we're looking forward to getting this thing rolling.
Yeah, just kind of rolling through the many images that you sent us here. Here, obviously, some of those seats in the grandstand that I think you were talking about. Some of this, there's obviously, this is one of those things where, when people think of stadium building, typically, I think it's natural, you go to the highest level of that, right? An NFL stadium, some sort of massive, completely enclosed, all the concourses and all those elements. And that's not what you're building, but you're building something to service all the same elements a stadium like that would service. So, you've had to kind of piece this together, right? Where do these ideas come from? How do you get to a place of this is how we tackle this particular part of what we want our experience to be in Boise?
Yeah, I think that from the onset, it really came down to, do we have the right mix for our season ticket holders that are affordable? And so 65 to 70%, actually right at 70% of our entire stadium for season ticket holders, it's $30 or less. At the same time, you've got the premium side on premium seating that do we have what we need to service the business community so they can use their tickets to drive client relationships and really reward their top employees and make that something that's a true corporate asset for them because it's a community asset. And so by putting in the club seats, by putting in the field suites, The turf club, which you're actually seeing right now, has 48 loge boxes in it. And then the grandstand has 48 loge boxes in it. So we have 96 loge boxes, which for a stadium of this size is unheard of, right? And so, our seating capacity, seated is going to be right at 7,200. I think with standing room will eclipse 8,000. So that's the size of stadium you're talking about. But really, as you build the entire thing out, you want to make sure that both your community partners and your corporate partners have assets that are meaningful to them, that they know, that can help them. I mean, on the fan side, like, we are a memory maker, right? And we are, if you think about every pro and college game that you've gone to in your entire life, 99% of those have been with the people that you love most, right? And so I don't think we want to step away from the fact that, we're truly a memory maker. So how do we make the fan experience the best it possibly can be in game? And quite frankly, driveway to driveway, that's always, our focus. And then on the corporate side, it's the same thing. It's like, how do you really create relationships with your employees and with your clients that drive business forward? Because really those businesses are driving the community forward, right? So it's a good balance between the two, and we were fortunate enough to have the balance to make that happen.
Well, so I have a question in the chat, and you used a term that I think is pretty standard in stadiums, but maybe not everybody's aware of. Can you describe what a loge box is?
Yeah, so a loge box is effectively a mini suite, right? So in the turf club, they're 4-seat boxes, that full table service, full restaurant. It's a very, very high-end luxury sports bar with the turf club. In our grandstands, they're all 6-seat loge boxes. So just think about 48 small mini suites that are all 6-seaters, but they have full service, full F&B service, full everything else. Our club seats actually have in-seat drink service all the way across the board. So the way that our system from a service standpoint is set up, if you're looking at fan experience, like, we have a QR code on every single club seat, every single loge box, the suites, where you scan in, you're like, yep, I'm in section 1, row A, seat 1, and in 90 seconds, you'll have a drink delivered. So it's one of those things that we wanted to make sure the fan experience is truly like the top of professional when you're looking at the United States and what club experiences are like. But to get back to your question, a loge box is a mini suite.
Yeah, there you go. That's the best way to think about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Look, obviously in this situation, like, sightlines, not an issue, but how did you guys think about what the viewing experience of great to have drinks in 90 seconds. I want to watch the game. I want to be able to see the game in a way that helps me understand what's happening and obviously gives me a chance as a fan to respond to the action on the field.
Well, and I think that's why the in-seat service component is so critical, because you don't have people walking in front of you. You don't have people leaving your seats, so people are more engaged with the game. And for football, as we all know, like, you don't want to leave your seat, because if you leave your seat, you're going to lose 5 to 10 minutes of game time, right? Where you're just not going to be engaged. And so I think from that standpoint, it was really important that the service side met what I consider as a fan requirement for football, that I don't have to leave my seat for the first half. I definitely don't have to leave my seat for the second half and extra time, right? So it keeps me engaged. And so I think from a sideline standpoint, you can see that, like, our grandstand is it's an old horse track, right? So repurposing that, redeveloping that. I've traveled all over. It's all metal and concrete, and it is exceptionally loud. So you can imagine how much sound just hovers over that. But because of that, it creates an experience that I think is going to be really unique in U.S. soccer.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the sound, actually, because obviously there are limitations to how enclosed your stadium situation can be. The grandstand obviously is going to be a reflector of sound and loud and look great. But in terms of how that connects with your supporters, who are obviously behind the goal in that end, I'm trying to find more there. You can see that. Yep. So I'm in the grandstand. How much am I going to be able to hear and interact with the supporters and vice versa?
It's a lot, and we've actually tested it. We've had our supporters actually come out and and test what the drum's like compared to where the grandstand is. I mean, the grandstand gets exceptionally loud, but I think what you're going to see is our supporter section leading a lot of the grandstand chants and cheers, where it becomes an entire stadium experience, right? But it might look far away. I mean, you're 55 yards away where that supporter section is compared to where the grandstand is. And so you definitely can hear the supporter section even with a full grandstand. And I think that, our supporter section is exceptionally passionate. In that section, they're effectively, I think we've got 80 tickets left out of the 480 that are actually in the supporter section that haven't been sold on a season ticket basis, because we wanted some of those available for single games. And, I think that they're well organized, and they're really going to be able to create a stadium atmosphere that's unique to Boise and unique to the Treasure Valley, but is definitely driving. You've got a lot of like Seattle Sounders and Portland Timbers transplants. And if anybody knows about those two supporters across the country, like they're second to none, right? I mean, there are very few supporter units in U.S. pro soccer that activate like that. And so I think because of that, this isn't their first rodeo on how to create that stadium experience and engage the entire fan base while they do it.
Now, Brad, you mentioned about 8,000 in this building to launch. You haven't played a game yet. You haven't hosted a competitive match yet. But people are already going to be asking, okay, how do you add seats? Like, how do you get this place big? So I'm sure you don't want to get ahead of yourself, and you've got to do this first. You got to walk before you can run. But people are going to ask, if you're going to have that much success in the beginning, how do you capitalize on it in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at that east side, it tells you where the expansion piece is. The most beautiful part about our stadium project and our partnership with Ada County is that we've got 32 acres in this complex, right? So we built the stadium apron to actually go to 25,000 seats. So instead of being handcuffed where we're walking into a footprint where, you can build to 8,000 and that's what our max is, we actually built it to, go into the future. And, the initial lease is 30 years, but it's perpetual 5 years after that, right? So we have it way into the future. And so I think for our, knowing the growth of Boise, knowing the market, knowing that we really wanted to be able to create something that was meaningful and pragmatic our first year, but having the ability to seize opportunity if we need to expand, we've got the apron to do that. And we've got the infrastructure to do that.
So something else you guys sent over for us was some stuff on signage. Now, this is pretty nerdy stuff, I imagine. Like, this gets really into, what's the best way to label things. Obviously, you're making these choices. I was thinking about just how granular this is. I imagine you've been involved in these discussions, Brad. So just give us a little insight into that part of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's part of the fan experience, right? And especially for key partners. And I know you had some of the Sweet Holder stuff on there, and that looked like it was a iteration from a while ago because they're pretty dimed up on the Field Suite side. But I think as you're just creating the fan experience, it's like, how do you communicate well? How do you brand well? What's the balance between, what we're branding from a team standpoint and then integrating our partners? And I think that our marketing teams just have done a phenomenal job of actually partner integration. So you definitely have team assets that you're seeing through these as you go through these photos, but you've got, those actually Athletic Club goes up on Monday. So that'll be an awesome site. It just happened to be that in the grandstand, it was exactly Athletic Club with the Falcon. It was exactly the panel. So somebody was telling me that Athletic Club was clearly the right name for this club, right? When we walked into the stadium. But I think that, as you're driving the signage piece, it really comes down to fan experience and creating a pro environment that doesn't seem overbuilt or over dramatized, but you've got key assets that are poignant and important. And I think really meaningful to the community because we've done some things that are really at the heart of Boise from a branding perspective.
I don't know what we're looking at here. This is a designer clearly working on some signage that changes from the angle that you're seeing that. So I love the insight. I mean, I might not understand everything, but I do appreciate the insight. So again, yeah, 10 days until kickoff down in Sarasota. How many days until you open the building? You said 5 weeks until you
Yeah,
get that first league game.
yeah. So it's April 4th, right? So 5.5 weeks, but we've got, I think that, like I said, March 15th, we're at 99% completion. Haven't announced it yet, but we're actually going to have a season ticket fan fest. So I guess I'm announcing it right now on March 28th.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, love to have the drop morning kick around. So that'll come out over the next few weeks, and that'll be a great time to engage our entire season ticket base and let them have a first look at the stadium prior to opening on April 4th. But I think that for us, it's really about, galvanizing this community and the momentum. I mean, how big the momentum's been, where season ticket sales are, where I think our partnerships have come in, and, Boise and the entire Treasure Valley and the state of Idaho can be more excited to have pro soccer here finally. And they've demonstrated that, right? I mean, you just don't come out of the gate with this kind of momentum. The ability to hire a head coach like Nate Miller, and I know you spent some time with him. Nate's an exceptional head coach, has a great coaching staff, really able to recruit the players that we brought in, because guys, I mean, quite frankly, they took a lot less money to come to Boise because they wanted to be part of this from the ground up. They wanted to play in a sold out stadium. They wanted to, be part of a club that they knew was going to take care of them at a really high, exceptional level. I think signing Blake Bodley, kind of set the tone, because Blake's the best player ever to come out of Idaho, but obviously, was in the timber system since he was 15 in Portland. He literally moved from Boise to Portland when he was 15, right? So when you're able to bring in that kind of talent, and then you start seeing everybody else the coach was able to bring in and put together, those guys are just not great players, but they've got a really high level of character that translates to who we are in Boise and our fan base and our corporate base. And I think that as you're able to do that, just keeping things steady and simple and not being flashy, but being true to who we are is important.
Brad, so I guess I'll just finish with this. I mean, you mentioned the Fan Fest for the season ticket holders. That's incredible to hear about already, or to have you drop that on the show. I guess, I'm sure you've been knee deep in detail, right? You're at the point where this is like the finishing work if you're building a house. So you're picking out, the fixtures. You're trying to figure out what colors are going up on the walls and stuff. What is the thing that you are like? What do you think about, if it's not the detail stuff? What is the thing that most excites you right now about where this club is and what it can be? And give me your real true sense of how confident you are that everything goes the way you want it to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident. So the real true sense is that we've got an exceptional team, and that's what I'm confident in, right? It's not about me. It's about the fact that I've hired just a fantastic team. And as we made those hires, they brought in other people. So it starts with your staff, it starts with your coaching staff, but your front office staff that's making everything happen. I mean, we onboarded 7 people on Monday, right? That are all stadium side. And so top tier head of security, brought over the number 2 facilities operator from Levi Stadium that just ran the Super Bowl, and she joined us on Monday to run the stadium side. So when you're looking at building that, it comes down to your people. So one, I'm super confident in who we brought in, that they're able to keep our standard and keep raising the bar and meet the expectations that we have. I think that, you're literally people say this all the time, but you are building the plane while flying it, right? Yeah. And so you have to be, at least I have to be at a 30,000 foot level where I understand where we're going 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now. And I think anybody that says you're looking past 3 years, that just becomes, visionary, and that's okay. But there are certain things that you have to plan for and make sure we're in concert. And at the same time, you've got to be able to flip a switch and get to ground level and execute at a super high level. And I think for our organization and our club, it's the fact that we over communicate on everything so things don't get lost. I think that when you're moving this fast and you're building a stadium, scaling a front office, sorry about that.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, no, it's I think as you're, really doing all those things at the same time, it really becomes dependent on your people, right? And the fact that you've got to trust that everybody's got a swim lane, everybody's executing at a super high level, they're accountable to that high level, and that together, because we're rowing the boat in the same direction, we're able to get this to where it needs to be by April 4th.
There it is, Brad Stith, 10 days before their first game, 5 weeks before they open up their stadium in Boise and bring pro soccer truly to Boise, Idaho. Brad, it's been a great journey. I imagine we might squeeze another one of these in at some point. Maybe we'll have to actually talk to you after the event there, obviously in April, but also maybe where your team is. And I'm sure we'll check in with your football side as well. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. I'm just looking forward to getting you out here so you can see it live. So, allegedly, I think that you got the open invite, not just for me, but I don't know your sister. So maybe we should just get out here and do a little something.
Does my sister like me right now is a good question to ask on Morning Kick. No, I'm good with my sister. Thank you very much, Brad. Yeah, I'm sure she would love to see me. I'm coming out for you, sis. I'm totally coming out to see you. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm in Boise is to check in on you. I definitely want to get out. Brad, thank you so much for being part of Countdown to Kickoff and Morning Kickaround.